Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Frel, your professor.
Hello class, good morning. Today we will be discussing Article 11 of the Philippine Constitution titled Accountability of Public Officers. First, we have to discuss Section 1 of the article. It provides that public office is a public trust. This means public officers and employees must at all times be accountable to the people. They have to serve them with utmost responsibility, integrity, loyalty, and efficiency, and act with patriotism, justice, and have to live modest lives. Accountability class means when the officers and employees are made responsible for the consequences of their performances or of their actions. And speaking of utmost responsibility, that is, they are taking care of their responsibility of their actions to the fullest. And in this integrity, this is the quality of having strong ethical or moral principles of our public officers and employees at all times, no matter who is watching. A person is said to be with integrity if he acts with honesty, with honor, and trustfulness. Now let's have the elements of public office. First element is public office must be created by law or by ordinance authorized by law. The second is it must possess sovereign functions of government to be exercised for public interest. When we speak of sovereign functions of the state, these are those functions where the state is not answerable before the court of law for their performance. These functions are mainly concerned about the defense of the country or the maintenance of the armed forces of the country and or the maintenance of peace in the territory. The third element is the functions must be defined expressly or implied by law. So we cannot just create a public office. It's because these elements should be followed first before a public office can be created. As what I have said earlier, as to the third element, the functions of this public office must be defined expressly or impliedly in accordance with law. Then number 4 is functions must be exercised by an officer directly under the control of law or not under that of a superior officer unless they are functions conferred by law upon inferior officers who by law are under control of a superior. And the last one is it must have some permanency or continuity, meaning the public office must not be temporary or occasional. Now class, we have the classification of public officers. First is that of the executive, the legislative, and the judicial officers. Second are the discretionary or the ministerial officers. Third are the civil or military officers. Fourth are officers de jure or de facto. And last are those in the national, provincial, or municipal officials. Of course, class, when we said executive, this is being composed of the president himself, the vice president, and his cabinet. And here, speaking of the legislative, we are talking about the Congress, composed of the Senate and the House of Representatives. And when we say judicial officers, this is composed of the courts, with the Chief Justice as having the highest rank in the judiciary, and the associate justices and the rest of the judges under the jurisdiction of the courts. When we say class discretionary officers, these are officers of the government which are being given the power of discretion. When we speak of discretion, this means the power and the ability to make decisions. And in the context of policy making, discretion means the officers are given some leeway or in which they can rely as they make choices that impact the people they are policing. And when we say ministerial officers, these are persons holding an office lifelong, awarded by the state and appointed by decision of minister. Some of these are also those public officers endowed with the power of authenticating legal or judicial deeds and of enforcing the decision of the justice system. When we speak of de facto officer, this is one who has the reputation of being the officer he assumes to be. However, he is not a good officer in the point of law. While the hoary officer, he is one who is in all respects legally appointed and qualified to exercise office. And national officers are those that holds positions under the national government, and provincial or municipal officials are those that holds position under the province or municipal or city offices. Now let's have the powers of public office. We have the ministerial power and the discretionary power. When we say ministerial powers, these are those the discharge is imperative and it requires neither judgment nor discretion, and in this case mandamus will lie. When we say mandamus class, that is to execute a duty that a person is legally obligated to complete, while discretionary power is the power imposed by law wherein an officer has the right to decide how and when duty shall be performed. In this case, mandamus will not lie. Next class, section 2 of Article 11 provides that the President, the Vice President, the members of the Supreme Court, the members of the Constitutional Commissions, and the Ombudsman may be removed from office on the impeachment for and conviction of culpable violation of the Constitution, treason, bribery, graft and corruption, and other high crimes or betrayal of public trust. In this case class, all other public officers and employees may be removed from office as provided by law, not by impeachment. So who are impeachable officials? We have, of course, the President, the Vice President, the Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court, the Chairman and members of the Constitutional Commissions, and that of the Ombudsman. Now, what are the grounds for impeachment? We have, of course, culpable violation of the Constitution, treason, bribery, graft and corruption, other high crimes, and the betrayal of public trust. So what is this culpable violation of the Constitution? This is defined as the deliberate and wrongful breach of the Constitution. While in the case of treason, it is the highest of all crimes. Class, now please remember that. This is defined as intentionally betraying one's allegiance by levying war against the government or by giving aid or comfort to its enemies. While bribery class refers to the offering, giving, soliciting, or receiving of any item of value as a means of influencing the actions of an individual that is holding a public or legal duty. While graft and corruption that includes bribery, extortion, and nepotism, and are also characterized by the subordination of public interest to provide aims and violations of the norms of duty and welfare, accompanied by secrecy, by betrayal, and or deception, and a callous disregard of any consequences suffered by the public. While a high crime is one that can be done only by someone in a unique position of authority, which is political in character, who does things to circumvent justice. While when you say betrayal of public trust, it is a catch-all phrase that include all acts which are not punishable by statutes as penal offenses, but nonetheless they render the officer unfit to continue in office. Now we have the process of impeachment. But first, let's have a brief definition of impeachment first. When we say impeachment class, this is a charge of misconduct made against the holder of a public office. So, speaking of the process, first is a verified complaint filed by any members of the House or any citizen upon resolution of endorsement by any member thereof included in the order of business within 10 session days. And then second, this complaint is being referred to the proper committee within 3 days of its inclusion. And if verified complaint is filed, at least 1/3 of its members, the same shall constitute the articles of impeachment, and trial by the Senate shall forthwith proceed. And next is, after the referral to the committee after hearing and by majority vote of all its members shall submit its report to the House together with the corresponding resolution. Then placing on calendar the committee resolution within 10 days from submission. Then of course the discussion on the report of the committee, and after the discussion a vote at least 1/3 of all the members of the House shall be necessary, either to affirm a resolution with the articles of impeachment of the committee or to override its contrary. Now, once an officer is being convicted of impeachment, what are the effects? Of course, one is removal from office of that officer. Second is disqualification to hold any office under the Republic of the Philippines. And third is the party convicted shall be liable and subject to prosecution or trial and punishment according to law. Now, what are the limitations on impeachment? First is the House of Representatives shall have the exclusive power to initiate all cases of impeachment. Second is not more than one impeachment proceeding shall be initiated against the same official within a period of 1 year. Then Section 4 of Article 11 provides that The present anti-graft court, known as the Sandigan Bayan, shall continue to function and exercise its jurisdiction as now or hereafter may be provided by law. So, the jurisdictions of the Sandigan Bayan includes its original jurisdiction, the exclusive original jurisdiction, and the exclusive appellate jurisdiction. So what is this Sandigan Bayan, or sometimes known as the support of the nation? This is a special appellate collegial court in the Philippines that has jurisdiction over criminal and civil cases involving graft and corruption practices and other offenses committed by public officers and employees, including those government-owned or government-controlled corporations. When we say original jurisdiction, this is where the Sandigang Bayan shall have exclusive original jurisdiction over petitions for the issuance of the writs of mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, habeas corpus, injunctions, and other ancillary writs and processes in aid of its appellate jurisdiction, and over petitions of similar nature. While on the other hand, class, the Sandigan Bayan shall exercise exclusive appellate jurisdiction over final judgments, resolutions, or orders of regional trial courts, whether in the exercise of their own original jurisdiction or of their appellate jurisdiction, as herein provided. The next section 5 provides that there is hereby created the independent office of the Ombudsman, composed of the Ombudsman to be known as the Tanod Bayan, one overall deputy, at least one deputy each for Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and a separate deputy for the military establishment may likewise be appointed. So what is the office of the Ombudsman? Class, the Ombudsman of the Philippines, also known as the Tanod Bayan ng Pilipinas, is an ombudsman responsible for investigating and prosecuting Philippine government officials accused of crimes, especially graft and corruption. And next, Section 6 provides that the officials and employees of the Office of the Ombudsman, other than the deputies, shall be appointed by the Ombudsman according to the Civil Service Law, while Section 7 provides that the existing Tanod Bayan shall hereafter be known as the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and it shall continue to function and exercise its power as now or hereafter may be provided by law, except those conferred on the office of the Ombudsman created under this Constitution. Then Section 8 provides for the qualification of the Ombudsman and his deputies. It provides that the Ombudsman and his deputies shall be natural-born citizens of the Philippines, and at the time of their appointment, at least 40 years old, of recognized probity and independence, and members of the Philippine Bar, and must not have been candidates for any elective office in the immediately preceding election. And the Ombudsman must have for 10 years or more been a judge or engaged in the practice of law in the Philippines. As to their appointment class, Section 9 provides that the Ombudsman and his deputies shall be appointed by the President from a list of at least 6 nominees prepared by the Judicial and Bar Council, and from a list of 3 nominees for every vacancy thereafter. And such appointments shall require no confirmation from the Senate, and all vacancies shall be filled within 3 months after they occur. While as to the rank, Section 10 provides that The Ombudsman and his deputies shall have the rank of chairman and members, respectively, of the Constitutional Commissions, and they shall not be qualified to run for any office in the election immediately succeeding their term of office. And for their term of office, they shall serve for a term of 7 years without reappointment, and they shall not be qualified to run for any office in the election immediately succeeding their cessation from office. Further class, Section 12 provides that the Ombudsman and his deputies, as protectors of the people, shall act promptly on complaints filed in any form or manner against public officials or employees of the government or any subdivision, agency, or instrumentality thereof, including government-owned or controlled corporations, and shall, in appropriate cases, notify the complaints of the action taken and the result thereof. So, class, what are the disqualifications and inhibitions during the tenure of the Ombudsman? One is, they shall not hold any other office or employment. Second, they shall not engage in the practice of any profession or in the active management or control of any business which in any way may be affected by the function of his office. Third, shall not be financially interested, directly or indirectly, in any contract with or in any franchise or privilege granted by the government or any of its subsidiaries. And fourth, shall not be qualified to run for any office in the election immediately succeeding their cessation from office. The next class, Section 14, provides that the office of the Ombudsman shall enjoy fiscal autonomy, that its approved annual appropriation shall be automatically and regularly released. While Section 15 provides that the right of the state to recover properties unlawfully acquired by public officials or employees from their nominees or transferees shall not be barred by prescription, laches, or stupel. So what is this prescription? This is the process of making claim to something by long use and enjoyment, while laches is the neglect to assert a right or claim that together with lapse of time in other circumstances prejudices an adverse party, while estupel is a legal bar which precludes someone from denying the truth of a fact which has been determined in an official proceeding or by an authoritative body. Next class, Section 16 provides that no loan, guarantee, or other form of financial accommodation for any business purpose may be granted directly or indirectly by any government-owned or controlled bank or financial institution to the President, the Vice President, the members of the Cabinet, the Congress, the Supreme Court, and the Constitutional Commissions, the Ombudsman, or to any firm or entity in which they have controlling interest during their tenure. So class, remember that the Ombudsman is included to these offices of the government which are not allowed to contract those mentioned above under Section 16. Further class, Section 17 provides that the public officer or employees shall, upon assumption of office, and as often thereafter as may be required by law, submit a declaration under oath of his assets, liabilities, and net worth. So this is where government officials and employees are submitting their state of assets and liabilities, net worth, or known as SAL-N. So in the case of the President, the Vice President, the members of the Cabinet, the Congress and the Supreme Court, and the constitutional commissions in other constitutional offices, and officers of the armed forces with general or flag rank. The declaration shall be disclosed to the public in the manner provided by law. While Section 18 provides that public officers and employees owe the state in this Constitution allegiance at all times, and any public officer or employee who seeks to change his citizenship or acquire the status of an immigrant of another country during his tenure shall be dealt with by law. And for your activity class, write a letter of advice to the President of the country regarding the issues of graft and corruption among officers and employees in the government. You can mention suggested solution to those issues in the eyes of the student and you. And that would be all class for this morning. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.